They don't wear cowboy badges or roar with V8 thunder. But Japanese muscle cars have been breaking speed records in their own way for decades. Built lighter, smarter, and often turbocharged, these machines proved raw speed doesn't need massive engines. From highway monsters to track-bred legends, these are the fastest Japanese muscle cars ever made. And some of them are faster than you think. 1972 Mazda Savannah RX-3 Coupe. The 1972 Mazda Savannah RX-3 Coupe is one of the clearest examples of how Japan rewrote the muscle car rulebook without copying America. Instead of chasing big displacement and loud V8s, Mazda went in a direction that felt almost rebellious at the time. The RX-3 was powered by a rotary engine, an unusual design that ditched pistons entirely. Instead of parts moving up and down, the engine used spinning rotors, which allowed it to rev high, stay compact, and deliver smooth power in a very lightweight package. On paper, the numbers didn't look intimidating. Around 110 horsepower doesn't sound like much, even by early 1970s standards. But the RX-3 didn't rely on brute force. It weighed far less than most competitors, and that low weight completely changed how the car felt on the road. The engine loved to rev, and drivers could keep it in the power band without the vibration and harshness common in larger engines. That combination gave the RX-3 a 0 to 60 time of about 8.8 seconds and a top speed near 125 miles per hour. Impressive for a compact coupe of its era. Visually, the RX-3 punched above its class. The coupe's dual round headlights and fastback-inspired rear window gave it a sporty, confident look. Inside, Mazda leaned into the rotary identity. The three-spoke steering wheel echoed the triangular rotor shape, and the interior kept things simple and very comfortable for the driver. Vinyl seats, basic gauges, and an uncluttered dash made it feel purposeful rather than cheap. The RX-3 wasn't perfect. The live rear axle and leaf spring setup could feel unstable when pushed hard through tight corners. But Mazda balanced that with front disc brakes and predictable handling that rewarded confident drivers. More than anything, the RX-3 proved rotary engines were not just experimental toys. They were a real alternative to traditional power, and this car helped cement Mazda's reputation for engineering courage and creative thinking. 1975 Toyota Celica GT. The 1975 Toyota Celica GT represents a different kind of muscle story, one built more on potential than factory performance. Straight from the showroom, the Celica GT wasn't especially fast. Its inline four-cylinder engine produced modest power, and acceleration figures were far from thrilling. A 0 to 60 time in the 12-second range didn't scare anyone. But that was never the point of the Celica GT, and Toyota knew it. What Toyota delivered was a well-balanced rear-wheel drive coupe with clean styling, solid construction, and endless room for modification. The Celica GT became a favorite among enthusiasts because it offered something incredibly valuable: a strong foundation. The engine bay had space, the chassis responded well to upgrades, and the car was reliable enough to survive serious tuning. It didn't fight back when owners wanted more speed. Styling played a big role in the Celica's appeal. Long hood proportions, a short rear deck, and sharp body lines gave it a classic sporty look that aged extremely well. Inside, the Celica was straightforward and functional. It didn't pretend to be luxurious. Instead, it focused on usability, making it a car you could drive daily and still enjoy on the weekends. The Celica GT became legendary not because of what it was, but because of what it could become. Engine swaps, turbo conversions, suspension upgrades, and brake improvements turned countless examples into serious performance machines. Many builds embarrassed cars with far larger engines and much higher price tags. This flexibility made the Celica GT a cult favorite across generations. In many ways, the Celica GT captured the spirit of Japanese performance culture. It wasn't about domination straight out of the factory. It was about experimentation, personal expression, and extracting performance through intelligence rather than excess. That philosophy is why the Celica GT remains respected long after faster factory cars have been forgotten. 1971 Mitsubishi Galant GTO. The 1971 Mitsubishi Galant GTO was Japan's bold answer to American muscle styling, and it didn't try to hide its inspiration. Long hood, fastback profile, aggressive stance, and frameless windows gave it an undeniable presence. At a glance, it looked like something that belonged cruising American highways, but underneath, it was unmistakably Japanese in execution. Performance backed up the looks. The Galant GTO could reach 60 miles per hour in about 9 seconds, and top out at about 120 miles per hour. Those numbers were strong for the early 1970s, especially considering the car's efficiency. Mitsubishi managed to blend speed and fuel economy in a way American manufacturers rarely attempted at the time. This balance made the Galant GTO more than just a visual statement. The driving experience focused on engagement. Rear-wheel drive and a 5-speed manual gave drivers real control, and the car felt lively rather than heavy. Mitsubishi had motorsport ambitions for the GTO, planning to showcase it in circuit racing. While those plans were cut short by the oil crisis, the car found a second life in rallying, where its balance and durability shone. Inside, the Galant GTO was simple but purposeful. It didn't drown the driver in luxury. Instead, it emphasized visibility, control placement, and a sporty atmosphere. Everything felt intentional. Today, the Galant GTO stands as one of the most underrated Japanese muscle cars ever made. It blended American-inspired aggression with Japanese engineering discipline, proving Mitsubishi understood both worlds. Its rarity only adds to its mystique, making it a forgotten icon that deserves far more recognition than it gets. 1973 Datsun Bluebird SSS Coupe, 610. The 1973 Datsun Bluebird SSS Coupe is a perfect example of accessible performance done right. This wasn't a car designed to intimidate supercars or dominate drag strips. It was built for people who wanted something fun, fast enough, and usable every day. And that's exactly why it mattered. The SSS badge stood for Super Sports Sedan, and unlike many marketing labels, it actually meant something. The inline 4-cylinder engine was eager to rev, smooth in delivery, and paired with a responsive manual transmission. The fastback body gave the car a sleek profile that separated it from ordinary sedans, making it look faster than it really was. Inside, the Bluebird SSS struck a rare balance. Bucket seats up front, a clear gauge layout, and enough rear seat space to remain practical. It didn't force drivers to choose between fun and responsibility. You could commute all week and still enjoy spirited driving on the weekend. What made the Bluebird special was its handling philosophy. It rewarded momentum, smooth inputs, and driver skill. It wasn't about raw horsepower. It was about precision and balance. That approach reflected Japan's broader automotive mindset at the time, focusing on efficiency and control rather than excess. The Bluebird SSS may not have the legendary reputation of a Skyline or Z-car, but it quietly helped define Japan's performance identity. It showed that speed didn't have to be extreme to be meaningful, and that everyday drivers deserved cars that made driving enjoyable. 1990 Nissan 300ZX Z32. The 1990 Nissan 300ZX marked a turning point. Japan stopped chasing performance and began setting benchmarks. This car wasn't built to compete within a class. It was built to redefine expectations entirely. Nissan packed the Z32 with technology, power, and refinement that rivaled cars costing far more. At its heart was a twin turbocharged V6, producing around 300 horsepower. That power translated into a 0 to 60 time in the mid 5-second range and a top speed of about 155 miles per hour. But the real story wasn't just speed. It was how controlled and confident the car felt while delivering it. Four-wheel steering helped the 300ZX rotate through corners with surprising agility. Independent multi-link suspension kept the car planted, while large vented disc brakes ensured stopping power matched acceleration. However, don't mistake this beast for just a brute force machine, because it was one of the finest precision instruments of its time. Inside, the 300ZX felt futuristic. Electronic power steering was speed-sensitive, controls were angled toward the driver, and the cabin balanced comfort with a performance focus. It was a car you could drive hard without sacrificing daily usability. The Z32 proved Japan had mastered the art of the complete sports car. Power, handling, technology, and comfort worked together seamlessly. The 300ZX wasn't just fast for its time, it was ahead of its time, and its influence is still felt in modern performance cars today. The 1970 Datsun 240Z. Let's start with a car that didn't just change Japan's image, it changed the entire sports car market. Picture yourself in 1970. European sports cars look great, but they're expensive, unreliable, and hard to live with. American muscle cars are powerful, but they're big, thirsty, and not exactly graceful. Then the Datsun 240Z shows up and quietly flips the table. At first glance, it just looks right. Long hood, short rear, clean lines with no unnecessary decoration. It didn't scream for attention, but people couldn't stop staring. When you got behind the wheel, that feeling only grew. The inline-six engine made about 175 horsepower, which might not sound massive today, but in a lightweight, well-balanced car, it was more than enough. The 240Z could hit 60 miles per hour in about 8 seconds and run to about 120 miles per hour. More importantly, it felt alive doing it. This wasn't a car that only liked straight roads. The fully independent suspension gave it balance and control that many muscle cars simply didn't have. You could throw it into corners, feel the weight shift, and actually trust what the car was doing. Steering feedback was honest. The manual gearbox kept you involved. This was a driver's car in the truest sense. What really made the 240Z special was accessibility. You didn't need to be rich or reckless to own one. It started every morning, didn't punish you on long drives, and still delivered excitement when you wanted it. Racing success only strengthened its reputation, proving this wasn't hype. The 240Z showed the world that Japan could build a sports car that was beautiful, fast, and dependable all at once, and that changed everything. 1994 Toyota Celica GT4 ST 205. Now imagine driving to work in a car that's closely related to a world rally weapon. That's exactly what the 1994 Toyota Celica GT4 ST 205 offered, and it didn't bother hiding its intentions. This wasn't a soft performance coupe pretending to be sporty. It was built because Toyota wanted to win rallies, and road drivers just happened to benefit. From the outside, the ST205 looks aggressive without being flashy. The wide stance, hood vents, and subtle aero details tell you this car means business. Under the hood sits a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine making around 250 horsepower, paired with a full-time all-wheel drive system. Press the throttle, and you feel it immediately. The turbo spools quickly, the car digs into the road, and it just goes. Now here's the part that really matters. This car isn't just fast in a straight line. It feels confident everywhere. Wet roads, tight corners, rough pavement, it doesn't matter. The all-wheel drive system operates quietly in the background, providing grip when you need it most. You feel brave in this car, not because it's reckless, but because it has your back. Inside, it's more practical than you'd expect. Supportive seats, usable rear space, and a layout that feels built for driving rather than showing off. You could drive this car daily without issue, then take it onto a twisty road and have a completely different experience. The ST205 even proved itself in real competition, winning at the highest level of rally racing. That matters because it means this wasn't marketing fluff. It was the real thing. The Celica GT4 is what happens when race engineering meets real-world usability, and the result is a car that still feels special every time you talk about it. 1991 Mitsubishi 3000G TVR4. The 1991 Mitsubishi 3000G TVR4 is what happens when engineers are given a blank check and told to build something unforgettable. And they absolutely went for it. This car didn't play it safe. It threw technology, power, and ambition into one heavy, complex, and fascinating machine. Let's talk about what you'd notice first. The car looks wide, low, and serious. This isn't a lightweight toy. It feels planted, even standing still. Under the hood is a twin-turbo V6 producing around 300 horsepower, sending power to all four wheels. Launch the car, and it moves with authority. 0 to 60 comes in under 5 seconds, and it feels every bit as strong as those numbers suggest. But the VR4 wasn't just about speed. Mitsubishi packed it with features most cars didn't have for another decade. Four-wheel steering helped it stay stable at speed. Active aerodynamics adjusted to improve control. Adaptive suspension changed how the car behaved depending on conditions. All of this worked together to make a heavy car feel more controlled than it had any right to be. Inside, it leaned toward comfort. Leather seats, climate control, and a quiet cabin made it a genuine grand tourer. You could cross long distances without feeling worn out, then still push the car hard when the road opened up. Yes, it was heavy. Yes, it was complex. But that's part of its charm. The 3000G TVR4 wasn't trying to be simple. It was trying to prove that Japan could build a high-tech performance machine that matched anything in the world. And in many ways, it succeeded. 1973, Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR, KPGC110, Phantom. This is a car most people will never see in person, and that's part of what makes it so powerful. The 1973 Nissan Skyline 2000 GTR, often called the Phantom, is a legend shaped by scarcity and bad timing. Nissan planned greatness, and regulations shut the door almost immediately. Only 197 units were built. That's it. Emissions laws changed, and production ended almost as soon as it began. Imagine working on something you believe in, only to watch it disappear before the world even notices. Under the hood was an inline-six engine making around 160 horsepower. By modern standards, that's modest, but in a lightweight coupe with rear-wheel drive and a 5-speed manual, it delivered a sharp, engaging drive. The power was smooth, predictable, and rewarding. This was a car that asked you to drive it properly, not mash the throttle and hope for the best. Visually, it had a quiet confidence. Clean lines, fastback styling, and dark wheels gave it a serious presence. It didn't look flashy, it looked focused. Inside, everything centered on the driver, reinforcing the idea that this was a performance machine first. What makes the Phantom special isn't just what it was, but what it represented. It laid the foundation for every GTR that followed. The idea that a Skyline could be a serious performance car started here. Even though it barely had a chance to exist, its influence carried forward for decades. Sometimes, the rarest cars aren't the loudest. They're the ones history almost forgot. 1967 Toyota 2000 GT. Now let's go back to where it all began. Before Japan had a performance reputation, before the world took its sports cars seriously, there was the Toyota 2000 GT. And when this car appeared, it shocked everyone. Imagine seeing it for the first time in the late 1960s. Long, low, elegant, and nothing like the economy cars Toyota was known for. People didn't believe it was Japanese. They had to look twice. Under the hood was an inline-six engine developed with Yamaha, producing around 150 horsepower. Again, the numbers weren't outrageous, but the way the car delivered them was smooth, refined, and confident. The engineering was serious. Independent suspension, disc brakes on all four wheels, and a body built with care and precision. This was not a prototype rushed to market, it was a statement. Toyota wanted to prove something, and every detail reflected that intent. Driving the 2000 GT was not about raw aggression, it was about balance. The steering felt direct, the car stayed composed at speed, everything worked together without drama. It even set world speed and endurance records, showing the world that Toyota did not just create a pretty face. Then came the cultural moment. A starring role in a James Bond film introduced the 2000 GT to the world. That wasn't just placement, it was recognition. Only 337 were ever built, and today they are worth millions. In fact, this beast also became the first Japanese car to cross the 2 million mark at an auction, with a selling price of $2,535,000. The 2000 GT wasn't just Toyota's first true sports car, it was Japan's introduction to the world as a serious performance nation. And once that door opened, it never closed. 2008, Lexus ISF. Let's be honest, when Lexus first showed the ISF, most people didn't know how to react. Lexus was known for quiet luxury sedans that your uncle drove to work, not loud performance cars that chased muscle machines. And yet, here it was, a compact sedan with a big V8 and a serious attitude. Under the hood sits a 5.0-liter naturally aspirated V8 pushing about 420 horsepower. That alone should get your attention. This wasn't a soft luxury engine either. It loved to rev, sounded angry at full throttle, and pushed the ISF to nearly 180 miles per hour. Step on the gas, and the car lunges forward in a way that feels completely different from turbocharged rivals. Power delivery is instant and aggressive. Now let's talk about the looks. Yes, it's divisive. Quad exhaust tips stacked vertically, wide fenders, and sharp lines made sure no one confused this with a normal IS. Some people loved it, some hated it, but no one ignored it. And honestly, that was kind of the point. Behind the wheel, the ISF feels tight and focused. The suspension is firm, the steering is quick, and the brakes are strong enough to handle repeated hard driving. This isn't a floaty luxury sedan pretending to be sporty. It wants to be driven fast. What really makes the ISF special is what it represented. This was Lexus proving it could build a real muscle-style performance car without copying anyone. It didn't follow trends. It did things its own way, and that is why it deserves respect today. 1968 Isuzu 117 Coupe. This is one of those cars that surprises people the moment they hear about it. Isuzu isn't a brand most enthusiasts associate with sleek coupes or performance history. Trucks and diesel engines usually come to mind. But back in the late 1960s, Isuzu decided to do something bold, and the result was the 117 Coupe. The design alone makes this car special. It was penned by Giorgetto Giugiaro, the same designer behind some of the most iconic European cars ever made. That influence shows immediately. The 117 Coupe is clean, elegant, and timeless. Long hood, thin pillars, and graceful curves make it look far more expensive than it actually was. Under the hood was a 1.6-liter dual overhead cam inline-4, producing around 118 horsepower. Those numbers don't sound wild, but remember the era. The car was light, well-balanced, and smooth. It wasn't built to dominate drag strips. It was built to feel refined and confident on the road. Inside, the car leaned toward comfort and style rather than raw aggression. This was a grand touring coupe by Japanese standards. You could drive it daily, enjoy long trips, and still feel like you were driving something special. What makes the 117 Coupe stand out today is its unexpectedness. It shows that Japan wasn't just copying performance formulas, it was experimenting with design, identity, and class. This car didn't need physical strength to be memorable. It earned its place through elegance and ambition. 1974 Toyota Corolla SR5. Before the Corolla became the sensible car everyone knows today, it had a much more playful side. The 1974 Corolla SR5 is proof of that. This was a time when small, lightweight cars could still feel exciting, and Toyota leaned into that idea fully. The SR5 was compact, simple, and fun. Under the hood sat a small, dual overhead cam inline-4 producing around 115 horsepower. Again, not huge numbers, but in a lightweight body with a 5-speed manual, it felt eager and responsive. You didn't need massive power to enjoy this car. You just needed a good road and a willingness to push it. What really made the SR5 special was how honest it felt. Rear-wheel drive, predictable handling, and a balanced chassis made it a joy to drive. You could feel what the car was doing at all times. It didn't hide mistakes with electronics. It taught you how to drive better. This Corolla also became a favorite among tuners. The simple engine layout, low weight, and strong aftermarket meant owners could modify it endlessly. From street builds to track cars, the SR5 adapted to whatever its driver wanted. Today, the idea of a Corolla being a muscle-style car sounds strange. But back then, muscle wasn't just about power, it was about attitude. The SR5 had that in spades. It was small, confident, and always ready to be pushed harder than people expected. 2010 Infiniti M45 Sport. Let's talk about a car that feels like it was built for people who don't want attention but still want power on demand. The Infiniti M45 Sport is one of those cars that looks calm, even polite, until you press the accelerator. Then everything changes. This is a full-size luxury sedan, and it carries itself like one. Long body, wide stance, and a cabin that feels quiet and solid. But under the hood is a 4.5-liter V8, making close to 330 horsepower, sent straight to the rear wheels. That is real muscle car energy hiding in a business suit. From a stoplight, the M45 pulls hard and smoothly, hitting 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds, which is wild for a car that comfortably seats 5 adults. What makes the M45 Sport special is how balanced it feels. Infiniti tuned the suspension, steering, and brakes so the car doesn't feel floaty or heavy. You feel planted, confident, and in control even at higher speeds. It's not trying to be a track car, but it absolutely enjoys being driven fast. Highway pulls feel effortless, and passing slower traffic takes almost no thought. Inside, it's pure comfort. Leather seats, solid materials, and a cabin designed to keep things quiet even when the V8 is working hard. This contrast is what gives the M45 its muscle car personality. It's powerful without being loud, fast without being flashy. The M45 Sport never became a poster car or a tuner favorite, and that is exactly why it's interesting. It's a reminder that muscle doesn't always need spoilers, stripes, or drama. Sometimes, real strength prefers to stay understated. 2017 Lexus LC500. The Lexus LC500 exists because someone at Lexus finally said, "Let's stop playing it safe." And you can feel that decision in every part of the car. The first thing you notice is the design. This doesn't look like a normal production car. It looks like something that escaped from an auto show stage. Long hood, wide hips, sharp lines, and a low roof make it feel dramatic even when it's parked. People stare at it, even if they don't know what it is. But the real magic happens when you start it. Under the hood is a naturally aspirated 5.0-liter V8, making 471 horsepower. No turbos, no electric help, just a big engine that revs high and sounds incredible. As you accelerate, the power builds smoothly, pulling harder the higher it revs. It doesn't rush, it doesn't struggle, it just delivers. This isn't a lightweight sports car, and it doesn't pretend to be one. The LC500 is a grand touring muscle car. It's built for long drives, fast highways, and moments where you want to feel the engine without feeling stressed. The ride is firm but comfortable, and the car stays stable and confident even at high speeds. Inside, Lexus went all in. The materials feel expensive, the seats hug you just enough, and everything feels carefully put together. It's a place you want to spend time in. What makes the LC500 important is what it represents. In an era of downsized engines and quiet performance, Lexus chose emotion. They built a V8 coupe that prioritizes sound, feel, and presence. That decision alone makes the LC500 one of the most honest modern Japanese muscle cars ever made. So that is our tour through Japan's take on muscle, fast, bold, and built their own way. If any of these cars surprised you, smash that like button. Let us know in the comments which one you would drive home today and which we should cover next. And don't forget to subscribe because more speed, stories, and rare machines are coming up.